So, what did you think about the premiere of Constantine last week?
I really liked Matt Ryan's performance. I thought he nailed Constantine, and unlike Arrow, where it sort of feels like they're creating the character to fit in this realistic and grounded world, it felt more like they were trying to recreate the world from the comics, and therefore the character was able to keep the same personality and the same characteristics that he shows in the comics, which I feel like most TV iterations, they have to stray away from that in order to fit the universe they're trying to build.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good first episode. I didn't think it lived up quite to the hype that it, or like quite up to the build that it got, but I thought it was a pretty good pilot episode. And I'm really excited to see where that show goes. I do think it's funny. You pointed out to me that they're writing that girl, are actually writing that girl that he was with out entirely. I thought that I figured she'd be back second, third episode.
She was originally supposed to be the sidekick role in the series, but due to poor fan reception, they completely wrote her out of the series. So the first episode is her only appearance.
So she can thank the fans for her shitty career.
And I mean, her character, I didn't mind her. I wasn't.
Yeah.
She was just a side character, and she unfortunately had the problem, or had the role of being dumped all the exposition, because she took place of the audience who knows nothing about this world. Therefore, Constantine has to explain all the rules within the world to that person. So, I kind of liked her as a character, and I think it's weird that he invested in telling her about the world and opening up about the world to now just cut her out of the series.
Yeah, I agree. I thought when I watched it, I viewed her as like not like the audience, but I thought it was their way of explaining to the audience the significance of Constantine in a way that people can understand, you know what I mean? I figured it would be kind of like Arrow in the sense that like everything that he does, there's a reason for it, and everything that he knows how to do, like they show why, and I figured this was their version of doing that, showing why he does the things that he does.
I really like the makeup effects. I thought the way they handled kind of the small demon possession in the beginning and the electrical demon, I thought like all the effects looked really well, even if the suspense wasn't quite there, because it did feel like the pilot episode was moving really quick. Which I liked the energy behind it, but it doesn't work well in kind of like a spooky, suspenseful.
Yeah.
If you're trying to go from that angle that other shows have accomplished, they kind of require more of a slow build up, which on one hand I really like the energy, on the other hand I would like to see more of a creepy build up to the demons.
Yeah, for being a superhero movie or a TV show, or for being a DC show, it definitely doesn't feel like a standard or just like superhero.
And that's why
show.
I always liked Constantine from the comics. Is he's the epitome of an anti-hero. He doesn't really want to save people. The only reason he's helping unpossessed people is in order to build his favor into heaven.
His motive reminds me of Suicide Squad, like we talked about in the Nerdy 9 at 9. It's very much along the same lines. I mean, he's a little bit more on the good side of it, but
you know, for me, I'm a sucker for supernatural stuff. I'm writing a supernatural themes screenplay right now, so I'm invested in Constantine. I've loved his character from the Hellblazer comics, and this pilot showed me what I wanted from the character. And the character was instantly familiar to me, and I really hope they keep true to him. And I'm curious if they're gonna work the smoking issue into it, because he does have the lighter.
Yeah. I thought it was I think that the smoking thing will make an appearance, but I think it'll be not a big thing, but I think by the time that we get that, you'll just be like, oh shit, like, you know, it'll be a clever nod for people who are actually fans of the comics and like know that he does smoke and that it is a problem. But I don't think we'll get that until something significant enough happens to where he needs to, and then you're like, oh fuck, that's Constantine, you know? So.
On the side of Gotham, it was interesting this week because this was the first week that they shifted focus almost completely onto Harvey, and they showed a flashback with like his first, or not his first, but like a pivotal mission with his partner and his like leader, who ended up getting injured on the job, and Harvey had a completely different like attitude and state of being. It was weird to see him in such a take charge role, rushing into the building to save the girl.
I think it was trying to show parallels between him, a lot more parallels between him and Gordon, as opposed to before this episode they showed the differences between him and Gordon, and they showed like the different tactics that they used, and then I think this episode was a way for audiences to relate to and feel something for that character, you know what I mean? Like they're trying to make him more than just like the guy you somewhat like the bad guy you root for. Like they want you to be like they want people to know that he has like a better side besides just being like kind of like a crook.
Yeah, up to now, I mean, Harvey's never been like, he's not a good person, but he's never been a completely awful person.
Yeah.
But he's done questionable things, like completely blown off cases because he just didn't feel like working them. And he's definitely crooked. So it was really cool to see that he did, at one point, he was very head on about his job. And the fact that he still pays for his partner's like medical, like he pays for his partner's placement, shows that he still feels guilty. But it's interesting that guilt didn't make him a better person. It made him. It's almost like he figured out like, I can't fight this city the way I wanted to, so I have to fight with the city. I have to become part of the ecosystem. And I think that's a lesson that Jim Gordon is going to be facing throughout this season and seasons to come, is he can't be the cop that he wants to be. You have to play with the rules of Gotham.
Yeah, and I think in all the ways that it showed that they're similar, that's what's going to make them seem that much more different, is at the end of the season, after all that Gordon's gone through, that's when you're going to really see it's going to be like make or break as far as like whether he sticks with the book or not. I mean, we've already seen him kind of, there have been times where he's like made questionable calls, but he's still by the book, you know what I mean? Like he finds a way around it to stay lawful, and I think it's just a show. Yeah,
it shows you that one bad case can corrupt you.
It just shows you both sides of it, and they're both side by side, you know?
And I think what we're going to see with Jim Gordon is that he's going to face that wall, he's going to face that demon, but it's going to push him to be even more just, and it's going to push him to fight even harder for what he believes in, because it really feels like the whole city is pulling at him and trying to tear down his moral wall. And I think it's just going to end up making him stronger. And it's really interesting that this episode, the very end trailer or the very end scene, and then the little episode snippet is teasing the turf war so hard. It feels like it's really early into the season and into the show to have the full-on turf war between Falcone and Maroni.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you and I have discussed, I feel like that they've kind of rushed this show a little bit at times, but while that can have its problems, I'm excited. They do that because they have a plan, and I'm excited to see where the plan goes, and because we're going to see, at some point, we're going to have just Bruce Wayne leave, you know what I mean? Like, if they go that route, I'm assuming they will, but...
It doesn't feel like we're running into much filler.
Yeah, exactly.
As long as they have plenty of content to keep the show going, I'm happy with the pace.
Yeah, me too.
It's exciting to see progress made every episode, because there's shows that are 22 episodes long, a full season, that you can pick out every 3 episodes progresses the story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm excited to see where this goes. I hope they don't like put out too much to where they do have to put in a bunch of filler at the end of the season.
Or where they have to jump the shark completely and the show just kind of falls apart because they used up all their good storylines, so they're just kind of forced to keep.
Yeah.
I can see that, but
other than that, I'm still really loving the show. I'm really excited for next week. I think that they build up their episodes really well. So yeah, what do you think about the Flash?
I thought that with Jeff Johns writing or co-writing the episode, who was responsible for almost recreating the Flash in the New 52. It was really cool to see a villain actually get like defined and have characteristics, because a lot of the times in Arrow and in Flash it feels like the villain are very much an afterthought.
Yeah.
And they really only build up in Arrow. They really only flesh out Malcolm Merlyn, Slade Wilson, and like just the main ones that are
now Ross,
carry over.
Yeah, a lot more filler. Just like, who's that bad guy? You know what I mean? It doesn't matter.
Like the Royal Flush Gang. It's like that could have been insert any name. That could have been them. It wasn't them from the comics. It's cool to see Captain Cold actually get motivations. He's kind of cunning. He's planning. He lives after the episode. He's a real threat to the Flash, and there's a teaser for him at the very end to build a team, which I'm guessing is the Rogues, to take on the Flash. And it's really cool for them to like turn the head on the villain. I don't want to call it a problem, but the one weak point of the show has always been villains. And it's really cool for them to just kind of turn that on their head. And
well, I'm not a fan of the just like Z-list villains. It does. I will give it props because it does make you appreciate episodes like this last episode where, like you said, the villain actually has a story and it's not like, oh, I'm just doing this because I need, we need somebody in the episode. Yeah, so, yeah, it was definitely cool.
And it wasn't like multiplex where at the end they threw in his whole backstory and like a one-line dialogue.
Mm-hmm. Like
they revealed little snippets of him, but they didn't full out say like, this is his motivation, this is why he's doing it, this is it.
Yeah.
And what's the most interesting part of the episode is not the fact that Cisco built the gun to fight the Flash, which is a very interesting aspect and cause a dynamic within the group that we haven't seen on the Flash. They've all worked together really well. and this was the first time there's actually turmoil, and Barry just full on turned off his headset because he didn't want to talk to them. But it makes you wonder, did someone come in and steal the gun? Or did Dr. Harris want the gun to get stolen? Or
Yeah.
is there more going on there? Because we know that Dr. Harris has something sinister going on. He's not the person he's presenting himself to be. So when he gets angry, so when in that scene where he grabs Cisco and he's like, "Don't you ever let this happen again," does he really mean that? Or what side is he showing who? It's
Yeah. I mean, the Dr. Harris. I'm still very intrigued to see what he ultimately will become. You know, whether he is Reverse Flash, or I mean, there's so many rumors as to who he might be, or ideas as to who he might be. So I'm excited to see it. I also heard a rumor that they thought that he was not Reverse Flash, but that he was actually Barry Allen from another universe.
Okay.
Yeah, like that he knows, and that's why he's able to train Barry, and that's why he's able to like come up with the things that he needs, because Barry's already smart, you know what I mean? And so, and this is just like a theory, you know, but it was a cool theory.
That'd be really cool. That'd come completely out of like left field though, especially Flash being a byproduct of Arrow, and Arrow starting out as a show that didn't have superpowers, didn't have alternate dimensions, didn't have any of that stuff. That'd be quite a stride for the show in terms of comic bookness. And that would also be a way, if they wanted to, that Warner Brothers could connect it to the movie universe.
Yeah, definitely. I laughed how DC made such a firm stance that they're like, we're keeping our movie and TV separate, and then Marvel's like, that's dumb, we're gonna keep them together. And then DC's like, well, maybe they're connected, maybe they're not, we're not sure. That part made me laugh. I don't know. Obviously I'm a DC fanboy, I don't know, but I don't know, it's just funny. It was funny to watch them like backpedal on the shit that they had said.
Which, it'd be dumb for them to ignore. Arrow is not only one of the best superhero shows, but it's one of the best regarded TV series on right now.
Yeah, I agree. And the Flash. I mean, look at the debut of the Flash. I mean, the highest pilot episode CW history. The CW's already pushing for 2 or 3 new shows already. Like
it would. Who is gonna want to go and watch a 2-hour origin story of the Flash when we have such a good origin already built in? And by the time the Flash movie comes out, we're gonna be 4 seasons into the Flash.
Yeah, I mean, because you have to assume that they're going to use the Barry Allen Flash. Like Barry Allen Flash is Justice League, right? Is the time frame that they're going for.
So you have the old timey Flash, which has a helmet. Then you have you have Kid Flash, who is depicted in the Teen Titans.
What about Wally? Is it Wally West?
Wally West, he's from the future. He comes back to the past and joins the Teen Titans. But I don't think any of them are
Justice League besides
Justice League. I think Barry, because the old one's in Justice Society, and Barry Allen is in the Justice League, and I think there's one more like Flash that was in the Justice League, but he was a very minor character.
Yeah. So I don't know. I would love to see. I like that actor. I can't think of his name. I should have looked it up before we started filming. But I like that cast. I thought the casting was really done really well. I love the cast of Arrow, and I don't know how well people who are fans of the show will adjust to seeing someone else in those like fatigues or whatever.
Yeah, which on one hand, I do think that you should have multiple iterations of characters. You should have multiple viewpoints, and that's what the DC universe is in the comics is really cool about, because you have tons of different writers creating all these different characters, creating different versions of these characters. But at the same time, it is difficult when you associate one face or one version to a character to then accept a new version.
A new version at the same time. Well, I guess Marvel's doing it with Quicksilver. You know.
That's true.
So I'm not saying it can't be done. Just saying what I would like to see. But I don't know. So overall, what would you give? We didn't rate the episode. What would you rate Constantine
The Constantine pilot, I liked it. I'll give it
out of 10?
out of 10, probably an 8.
An 8? Yeah, I would probably go with 8 too. As far as Gotham, I would give that a 9.
That episode, yeah.
I don't think it was perfect, but I thought it was a solid 9.
Episode was good, yeah.
And then for The Flash, I thought the Flash episode was really good. The Flash, I don't know why I'm surprised. I'm always surprised at how much I really enjoy that show. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know why. I know that the show is cool, but every time I go to watch it, I'm just like, fuck, I really enjoy watching this. Or like, same with Arrow, but like Arrow, I'm not as surprised. Like The Flash, I am kind of, but I don't know. I'm just starting to. I'm just becoming a bigger fan of the Flash, like that actual character.
Yeah, the Flash, if you kind of just think about him as his power, he's kind of a joke, because like, okay, he can run fast. But when you get to know his character, he's probably the most lovable character in the DC universe. And there's literally an episode of the Justice League where in an alternate universe, the Flash dies and the Justice League goes fucking crazy. The Justice League turns into the Justice Overlords, and they start setting curfews and imprisoning people, and they just can't fucking handle it. So Barry Allen is literally the core of the Justice League, and if anything happened to him, everything falls apart because he is such a beloved character.
So what would you give your rating for the Flash?
I really like this episode. I think they treated Captain Cold with respect. He could have easily been silly. I would give it like 9.2.
Yeah, I would give the Flash a 9. What about Arrow? What do you think of Arrow?
I don't know what it is, but this season has just been kind of off for me so far. I'm not instantly into it like I was with the first season and the second season. And I think it's because they're starting to do like really silly choices with the characters, which they've always done, like questionable stuff. But this time it's not in like a dramatic sense, it's in like just questionable calls. Like, why would Thea come back and just try to open up the club?
Yeah, to me it just feels like they're trying to give each character in this season, each character too much to do. Like in season 1 and season 2, it was still Oliver's story. You know what I mean? Like it was just Oliver's story. Like you kind of hear about these other characters, but in this season it's like, it's not just Oliver. It's Oliver's doing something, Diggle is doing something, like everybody is doing something different. Even like Felicity's off getting a job and like working with Adam, and it's just, I feel like they're trying to do too much, and in that time of doing too much, it's like there's so much filler and just goofy choices. I mean, I love that show. I still, you know what I mean, I still love watching episodes. I agree with you in the sense that it's questionable calls, 2K14.
Maybe I'm just getting a little tired of characters going back and forth within the same episode, if not the next episode. Like when Diggle's like, at first Diggle was like, I'm not retiring, I'm not quitting.
Mm-hmm.
Then he's like, you know what? I need to do this for my family. The next episode,
He's back.
He's back.
And they don't even really explain it. He's just like,
and just like, okay,
yeah.
Diggle's here.
I agree. It's, yeah, I don't know. There's, for how much they're making all these characters do, they're not. It doesn't seem like there's a real plan.
And none of them have told Detective Lance about Sarah yet.
Yeah.
They're like, Oliver just kind of pushed out Laurel. He's just like, you know what, Laurel, you go do it, and Laurel's just bitching out about it.
Yeah. They're like, oh, Sarah. Oh.
She's on a trip.
Yeah. She called me, and she needs me to ask you a few questions.
It's
about
fucked up.
the guy.
There's nothing fucking heroic about that. How are we supposed to eventually root for Laurel when she is Black Canary? If she can't even if she can't do the right thing and tell her dad. And then Oliver kind of being so blindsided about like searching for the killer. And it's really weird how they kind of like ignored the killer in the last episode, and they were just like, we gotta get Thea. And then this episode, he was just so determined it was Merlin. Like, I like that there's consequences and there's fallout from Sarah's death. I just think it's being handled kind of weird.
Yeah, it doesn't add up. It doesn't add up. I'm gonna go from being so dramatic about the death to, yeah, let's go get her and let's like worry about other shit instead of let's go get her, come back immediately. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. Again, too many pokers in the fire. You know, like they have too much shit going on at once. It's just like, how do we get? I wonder what those writers' meetings are like. Like, how do we get Malcolm Merlin back into the city? Oh, I know. Let's go get Thea back. Like, you couldn't come up with another reason. Like, you couldn't be like, he's training her, and then he's just like, oh, I gotta go handle something. Or
it reminds me of, there's a show called Shameless on Showtime, and so these two characters are interacting, and it's very dramatic and sad. But in a different scene that's supposedly happening at the same time, one of those characters are in it, but they're acting a completely different way. And it's weird when the character's mood changes depending on what scene or situation they're in. It's a lack of consistency with the emotions that they're portraying or trying to.
Yeah, I agree. I would give Arrow's episode probably like a 7.
Yeah, right around there. Like the Ra's al Ghul like reveal at the end was kind of cool, but
kind of underwhelming.
His appearance was overwhelming.
Yeah, I haven't seen what that actor can do as far as that character, so it's really hard to talk shit on what I don't know, but I don't know. I don't know what I imagined Ra's al Ghul would look like, you know, but that wasn't what I had in my head, I guess. Like, I don't know what it was. It was just like, I feel like the build to his reveal could have been done a lot better too. You know what I mean? Instead of just like, oh, there he is. Like, that should have been like, in my opinion, you don't show his face until the last 3 episodes, or when you finally bring him, or even when he is in Starling City, you don't have to show his face. Like, you show him from the back, you show him with the hood on, you show whatever you want, don't show his face until the final battle. You know what I mean? I think that would have been a better, they could have handled the build a lot better, but.
Yeah, I mean, we only saw, what, like 30 seconds of him.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's hard to. I don't want to sound like I'm talking shit because I'm not. It's just like, it's hard to. It's hard to complain about something you don't know, like what the full plan is, but I don't know. So that was this week in DC.